Tibetan Buddhism is a religion with a rich cultural heritage that emerged from a wide range of spiritual practices. These include the complete scope of the Buddha's teachings from the Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana traditions. Different schools belonging to Tibetan Buddhism today include the Nyingma, founded by Padmasambhava, Kagyo, founded by Tilopa, Sakya, founded by Konchak Gyalpo and his son Sachen Kyunga Nyangpo, and Gelug, founded by Tsongkhapa Lobsan Dragpa. The teachings of Tibetan Buddhism focus on mindfulness of death and the ephemeral nature of life, leading to diligence in meditation and spiritual practice. Mandalas, prayer flags, and thangka paintings are visual reminders for practitioners on the path. Born in the region of Derje in eastern Tibet in 1846, Mipham Rinpoche was identified as an extraordinary child. At the early age of 6, he was already memorizing texts, and by the age of 10, he started composing numerous writings. He became an ordinary monk of the Ogmin Ogyen mind-rolling lineage when he was 12. It is said that he fully mastered the extremely difficult mind-rolling system of chanting at the age of 15 or 16, after studying it for only a few days and praying to Manjushri Bodhisattva. Mipham Rinpoche was a prolific writer, composing more than 35 books on topics ranging from medicine, poetry, in particular the Gesar epics, logic, cosmology, astrology, and divination, alchemy, painting and sculpture, and engineering. The Sword of Wisdom for Thoroughly Ascertaining Reality is one of his most important works and was written within a day in 1885. It comprises of 104 verses encompassing the two truths, the four principles of reasoning, valid cognition, the four reliances, and the 8 treasures of confidence. Though it is brief, its content is extraordinary. Through the 2 types of valid knowledge using referential reasoning, one will be able to comprehend the conventional truth and the ultimate truth. We will now present to you selections from the Sword of Wisdom for Thoroughly Ascertaining Reality by Mipham Rinpoche, Vegetarian, verses 1-68. Verses 1-34. You have not the slightest confusion about philosophy, and have completely abandoned every fault. Your mind has no doubts about the 3 points. Before Manjushri, the treasure of wisdom, I bow. Profound, vast, and difficult to realize is the nectar-like teaching of the Sugatas. To those who long to taste it, I here grant the light of intelligence. The Dharma taught by the Buddha depends entirely upon the 2 levels of truth, the relative truth of the mundane and the truth of the ultimate meaning. If one is to apply an unerring and certain mind to the nature of these 2 truths, one must cultivate the excellent vision of the 2 flawless valid cognitions. These appearances in all their rich variety arise through dependent origination. Something that is truly independent, like a lotus in the sky, will not appear. It is a complete gathering of causes that functions to bring about an effect. All effects, whatsoever they may be, depend upon their own particular causes. It is by knowing what is or is not the case, in terms of causes and their effects, that we pursue one thing and avoid another, whether in crafts or in philosophy. They all have this as their starting point. This includes not only worldly disciplines, but also of the training that transcends the world. All phenomena arisen in mutual dependence naturally possess their own particular characteristics which are uniquely theirs. The plain and simple facts of the conventional, solidity, fluidity, warmth, and so on, are incontestable. Even just a single thing has countless properties and can be classified in infinite ways, based on affirmation and negation. These are natural features of the thing itself. An object that is perceived clearly and directly has properties that seem separate and distinct, but these distinctions are mental designations, distinguished and engaged with by conceptual mind. Actual substance and what is imputed conceptually, these are two ways in which one can understand all that can be known, and many are the categories that come from further elaborating on these two. Just so they have their own causes, effects, and natures, but when phenomena are investigated authentically, that which brings about arising cannot be observed, nor is there anything that arises in dependence. Each thing appears with its own identity, yet is empty by its very nature, absolute space with threefold liberation, the very nature of the ultimate. How something functions and how it depends are both aspects of its particular nature. So it is with a thing's nature that reasoning ends, and it would be futile to inquire any further. This kind of evaluation of things in their nature, according to each of the two levels of reality, is proven by the basic facts of how things are. So it is reasoning that establishes what is tenable. How things appear or how they ultimately abide can be known through perceiving their nature directly, or it can be inferred unerringly based on something else which is clearly apparent. Direct perception itself is of four kinds: unmistaken sensory, mental, self-awareness, and yogic, all of which are non-conceptual, since their objects appear with specific characteristics. Without these direct perceptions, there would be no evidence and hence no inference, and any perception of things arising from causes and then ceasing would become impossible. If that were the case, how could we ever understand them to be empty and so on? Without relying upon the conventional, there can be no realization of the ultimate. Cognitions brought about by the five senses clearly experience their own objects. Without this direct sensory perception, like blind folk, we would fail to see. Mental direct perception arises from the faculty of mind and clearly determines both outer and inner objects. Without it, there would be no aspect of consciousness capable of perceiving all types of phenomena. Yogic direct perception is the culmination of meditation, practiced properly and according to the instructions. It clearly experiences its own objects, and without it, there would be no vision of objects beyond the ordinary. Just as this direct experience can eliminate misperceptions about outer forms and the like. This is also how it is within the mind itself. If there were some other knower, there would be no end to them. A mind that is cognizant and aware naturally knows its objects, but at the same time is also aware of itself without relying upon something else, and this is what is termed self-awareness. Any experience of the other direct perceptions is only determined to be actual direct perception by means of self-awareness. Without this, there would be no way of establishing it. The root of inference lies in direct perception. and direct perception is determined by self-awareness. It all comes down to the experience of an undiluted mind. There are no other means of establishment beyond this. Therefore, it is based on direct perceptions, which are non-conceptual and undiluted, that misperceptions of apparent phenomena can be decisively eliminated. The conceptual mind is that which conceives of objects by way of general images, associating them with names to form concepts, from which stem all manner of words and thoughts. Even for someone unaware of the proper expression, generic images will appear in the mind, ready to be named, and through such concepts, objects can still be pursued or avoided. Without this conceptual mind, there could be no conventions of affirmation or denial, and it would be impossible to infer anything or communicate the points of training. Conceptual thought inquires into and establishes that which is not evident directly, such as future pursuits. Without this ability to infer things conceptually, we would all become like newborn babies. A reason is information that allows us to know something else. The reason must be a feature of the subject, and there must be positive and negative logical pervasion. When these three modes are present, there can be no delusion. From a reason that is arrived at through valid direct perception and valid inference, what is hidden can be logically inferred, and things can be proven by means of relationship. Wonderful viewers, it has been a pleasure to have your company for today's episode. Selections from the Sword of Wisdom for Thoroughly Ascertaining Reality by Mipham Rinpoche, Vegetarian, verses 1-68, part 1 of 2, on Words of Wisdom.